At a time of UAPs and non-human biologics, we're all waiting for disclosure. But what if we listen to the stars ourselves to discover what's really out there? I'm Mike with Expedition Gaming, and who needs disclosure when you have SETI with the Space Agency's expansion?
Today, we're playing SETI, a game about humanity's search for life beyond Earth. We're running our own space agencies at a moment when the big question isn't if we'll find something out there, it's who will find it first. We'll be pointing our telescopes deep into space, sending probes out across the solar system, collecting data, and slowly turning faint hints into real discoveries. In today's playthrough, we're including the Space Agency's expansion into the base game. If you're familiar with SETI, you'll get to see what the expansion adds. It's not the type of expansion that fixes something with the base game or repairs any holes, so to speak. Instead, it infuses new content that ramps up the game without adding more rules overhead. But if you've never played SETI before, don't worry. You'll see the full game in action, and I'll do my best to call out what's unique to the expansion. Now, for those who have never played SETI, let me briefly set the stage. At a very high level, each turn, you're going to be choosing one of 7 main actions. Those are actions like launching probes out into the solar system and moving them around, sending those probes to orbit or land on planets and moons. We'll be scanning star sectors to gather data and then analyze that data in our computers. And of course, researching new technologies to make each of those actions more powerful or efficient. You win a game of SETI by scoring the most points over the course of 5 rounds. Those points are a mixture of endgame scoring as well as points earned during play. Endgame scoring is largely from these goal tiles, as well as missions that you can set yourself up with. So you'll want to pay attention to those. But that's typically about a third, maybe even close to half of your score, depending on how things play out. The rest of those points will come from all over the place. Just about everything you do has a way of earning you points, so you're always on the lookout for key moments where you can net some of those points. And I'll do my best to demonstrate that as we go along. Now, as I mentioned, the base game of SETI is 5 rounds long, and this is where the first change from the expansion comes in. Normally in the base game, each player receives the same starting resources. Those are shown on these little cards here. And everybody begins in the same state. You play over 5 rounds, building your tableau and working towards goals or missions. But the expansion changes this with the addition of space agencies and quick start cards. Now, the agencies will give each player their own unique ability that might shape your approach to the game. Each agency specifies what starting resources the player will receive. And then there are the quick start cards. These cards jumpstart the action by giving players some progress in the game that might normally take a round or so to accomplish. The idea here is that players will now hit the ground running with a little more momentum and maybe direction compared to the base game. Because of this, the game is played over 4 rounds when using the expansion instead of the normal 5. It's kind of like jumping into the game after a round of development has already occurred. Now, you might think that this would make your playtime shorter, like you've trimmed off a round. But actually, no. Games usually aren't shorter because you come out of the gate with more momentum, and so there are more things to do right from the start. Now, this isn't better or worse compared to the base game. It's just a different take. The base game allows you to build your tableau from the ground up. Space Agencies jumpstarts you into the action. It's just a slightly different approach, and each one is great. Now, one last thing before we jump into the action, I want to show you these quick start cards and how they affect the starting state of the game for us. When you set up Space Agencies, each player receives 2 of those agencies and 3 of the quick start cards to choose from. So you'll choose 1 agency, and then you'll choose 2 out of the 3 quick start cards and receive everything that's on those cards. Now, if you're unfamiliar with SETI, don't worry about this too much. Just know that what is on this typically takes several actions to accomplish, such as putting an orbiter above the planet Mars, which we have right here. In addition, that card gave us 3 points, 1 publicity, and 1 card drawn off the top of the deck. Now, our other quick start card has been tucked underneath our agency and has become part of our income. You'll receive income at the start of every round, and your income will be all of the icons that are shown on this row right here. So out of the gate, this quick start card has boosted our income, but it also tells us that we can put another orbiter above Uranus. So to do that, we simply take our orbiter and place it out right there. Now, normally you would gain points for being the first one to do this, but these quick start cards specifically tell you in the text that you do not gain any benefits. It's probably hard to read that, it's really small, but you don't gain the normal bonuses from that. But you'll have the orbiters out and the benefits that are there. In this case, it allowed us to tuck a card. And then, of course, you gain those starting resources. So that's why I have so many cards tucked for income, was because this Fenwick Research Institute allowed us to tuck 3 additional ones. So we've got a pretty good income right out of the gate. Our agency's special ongoing ability says that we can purchase tech at a cost of only 5 publicity instead of the usual 6. And then once per round, we can spend 1 publicity to draw another card off of the main deck. So let's check out our opponent's setup. And who are we playing against today? Well, of course, it's going to be Mr. Alien. And Mr. Alien chose these 2 quick start cards. This one allowed him to place an orbiter above Saturn, 4 points and 2 publicity. This one allowed him to put out a yellow trace on the rightmost species board. Now, being that this is a search for extraterrestrial intelligence, if, again, you're unfamiliar with SETI, one of the main things we're trying to do is discover alien species. And in every game of SETI, there will be 2 different alien species to discover. The base game comes with 5 alien species, and the expansion adds 3 new species that you can choose from. And so in every game, you'll take each of those species, shuffle all the boards up, and randomly put 2 of them out face down, so you never quite know who you're going to be discovering. Then, throughout the course of the game, you eventually will discover which one has been added. You will flip that board over, and then you can begin interacting with that alien species. So when you're including the expansion with the base game, you typically would shuffle all of the species of aliens together and then randomly choose 2 of them. However, for today's playthrough, I wanted to feature as many of the new alien species as possible. So there are 3 that come in the box. I've taken those 3 and shuffled those 3 and placed those out there. So I know for sure that 2 new alien species will show up. We just don't know which ones they are. So we'll find out when the discovery happens. Now, in order to discover a species, you need to find 3 traces of alien life. And those are marked by these right here. There are pink traces, yellow traces, and blue traces. And the moment you have one of each trace type discovered or marked, we'll flip this board over and reveal its species. And that will give us a way of earning points and resources throughout the rest of the game. So, one of Mr. Alien's quick start cards allowed him to place out a yellow trace, specifically on the rightmost species. So those were Mr. Alien's 2 quick start cards. His agency is Stratus Core, which gave him these starting resources and allowed him to tuck 3 cards for income. He does not have an ongoing ability, but he does have the free action of being able to gain the corner effects of all 3 cards that are in the market here. Now, every card in this game is multi-purpose. There are 4 different things you can do with a card. The main action on the card, of course, is one of them. We talked about tucking a card for income. That's a second use. The third use is it's a free action. You can discard the card to gain what's in the upper left-hand corner. So like this card, you could discard and gain 1 data. This one you could discard and gain 1 publicity. Mr. Alien's special ability allows him to gain what's in the left corner of each card in the market, and he can do that once per round. The fourth use for these cards comes into play when you are scanning sectors for data, but we'll see that in detail when we actually take that action. The other thing that quick start cards are used for is to make your initial setup more dynamic in a 1 or 2 player game. So you deal out 4 of these cards and you pay attention to just what's on top. You ignore the bottom benefits here, and whatever's on the top, you'll place those elements out on the board with a neutral player's color. So like right here, we put an orbiter above Venus there. This is the reason why there's already a pink trace above the rightmost alien space. So this alien board is only 1 trace away from being discovered. And to start the game out in that state, that's pretty rapid. It won't be long before we'll see a species come out. These cards here, they place out signals in the corresponding sectors, which it's gonna make it easier to find traces in those locations there. So again, these cards just help create a more dynamic starting scenario at lower player counts. Now these quick start cards do not stick around. So now that we've explained their use, let me clear them out of here and we'll jump right into the action. We're all cleaned up and ready to go. We have the starting player marker, so we're going to take the first turn of the game. Now on your turn, you're going to take a main action and as many free actions as you would like, and then it will go to your opponent. They'll take a main action, then it will come back to you, and you go back and forth like this until everyone has decided to pass on their turn. Once everyone is passed, the round will come to an end and you'll move into the next round. Now, on our turn, for our main action, there are 7 actions that you can choose from. And each of those actions is shown right here on your player board. Anything that's got one of these hex icons indicates that that is a main action. So one of them is launching a probe. That's how you'll take one of these guys and get it out into the solar system. Another action would be sending that probe as an orbiter around a planet. So if you have been able to move your probe out to, say, Mars, you could take an action to have it orbit Mars. Or one action is to send it down as a lander on that planet. Another action is to scan a sector for data. So this would be a sector here. Maybe we want to start listening into this area for traces of alien life. That is an action. Another action is to analyze that data. As we're gathering data from scans, it's going to start filling up our computer. When it's completely full, we can analyze it. This action is to purchase a technology which costs publicity, which you can see right there. And then the seventh action is to play a card from your hand. As I mentioned before, that's one of the primary uses for these cards. You'll pay the credit cost listed there, and then you'll do the main thing that's printed on the card there. So those are the 7 main actions, and then there are a variety of free actions that you can take. One of the most pertinent being buying movement for your probes that are out in space. At the cost of 1 energy per movement, you can spend energy, and that's how you will move your probes around the solar system, trying to get to various objects so that you can send your probes down as landers or orbiters. But for us, looking at our scenario here, one of the main things we want to do is discover these alien species. And as we mentioned, it's going to take a pink, a yellow, and a blue trace in order to uncover what this species is. And we are 1 blue trace away from finding out what that species is. So I think for our first goal would be, let's try to get a blue trace. How do we get a blue trace? We get that by analyzing data in our computer. That will earn us a blue trace. Blue traces come from analyzing data in your computer. Yellow traces come from landing on planets. So if you can land on a planet, or potentially even some moons, that's how you'll discover a yellow trace. Pink traces come from scanning sectors, and if you scan enough data out of a sector, it will earn you a pink trace. So, pink traces come from scanning, yellow traces come from landing, and blue traces come from analyzing data. So, if we want a blue trace, we're going to need data. If we want data, we're going to need to scan some star sectors because that's where the data comes from. So I think the first thing we want to set our sights on is getting some scans going so that we can get some data, get ourselves a blue trace. So we definitely want to scan. Now here's the thing though. The better your scan is, the more data you're going to get from it. And at the start, our scan is in its weakest state. Now these little slots here indicate technologies that we can purchase to upgrade the various actions that are on our board. So what I think I would like to do is get a technology that's going to make our scans a little bit better for a little bit more data. And that's going to let us tap into our Fenwick Research Center's unique ability, which researching a tech costs us 5 publicity instead of the usual 6. So here we have our 5 publicity thanks to our starting resources. We will spend all 5 of that. And as this indicates here, the first thing that you do when acquiring a tech is to rotate the solar system. So we'll take this white disk, rotate it to the next circle. And whatever color we cross over, that's what we're going to rotate within the solar system. You can see there is a yellow, an orange, and a blue arrow. Whichever we have crossed over here, that's the segment that we're going to rotate. So in this case, the yellow will rotate one segment like that. When we cross over the orange, we'll rotate the orange, and as you notice, it will bring the yellow along with it. And of course, the blue will take everything with it. What that means is the closer you are to the sun, the faster you're going to orbit, just like in our solar system. Game-wise, that means that the state of the solar system is going to be changing throughout the entire game, and that can have an impact on reaching the various features that are out in the solar system and how much energy it takes to get probes out there and what that might mean for getting landers and orbiters over to those planets. But for now, we've done our rotation, and now we can grab whatever technology that we want. The blue technologies, these are going to upgrade our computer. The orange technologies will upgrade everything related to probes, whether we're sending them as landers or orbiters. And the purple technology is everything related to scanning. So in this case, I think we want to go with this technology right here. You'll notice these little 2-point tiles. The first person to grab a particular type of technology will gain that extra 2 points. And you'll also gain whatever's on the back of that technology. Each of these have various types of benefits. In our case, we'll actually gain one of the publicity back that we spent. We'll gain 2 points. And then this technology will get slotted into the appropriate spot on our player board here. And now our scanning tech has been upgraded. And we'll see how this benefits us here shortly. And that completes our turn. Let's head over to the solar system for just a moment. The layout here, when you're setting the game up, the rules say that you can randomize this layout in whatever way you would like. Or another thing that you can do is the rulebook provides a QR code that you can scan. And if you scan that, it'll take you to a website that will give you a random configuration. And that's actually what we did for our setup. So we're using this random configuration that was given to us. And of course, turn 1, we've already monkeyed with that and it's changed. So kind of a neat little system for getting yourself set up. But on to Mr. Alien's turn. And for his first turn, he's going to play a card as his main action. And when you play a card, you simply place it out in front of you, and you'll pay the cost and credits shown right there. So in this case, he will pay 3 credits, and then he'll do the main actions listed on the card right there. Now this part is what's called a conditional mission. We talked earlier about you can set missions up for yourself to help you score some points. This type is called a conditional mission. When you meet this condition, you'll get to score that. This says that he needs to get 5 either orbiters or landers onto planets out there. So he's going to need to get 5 of these suckers out to various planets. Now with a conditional mission, if you play this out and you already meet that condition, you can go ahead and score this right away if you want. Conversely, whenever you do meet the conditions of this, you're not required to cash that in immediately. You can save that for a later time and use it when it's more opportune for you. But that's the mission. That's something he'll likely be shooting for. The main part of this card says that he's going to launch a probe and he'll gain 2 publicity. So he'll gain the publicity right there. And this launching a probe is the exact same action as launching a probe right there. What you'll find often is that the main actions you could take out here are the same that are listed on the cards. The cards give you sort of an alternate way of accomplishing some of the main actions, and usually with some sort of extra benefit to it. So in this case, he's going to launch a probe. Launching a probe is simply taking that probe and placing it out onto Earth, wherever Earth happens to be. And that's it. Launching a probe is a very quick and straightforward action. Now, something to note is at the start, you were limited to 1 probe out into the solar system at a time. This technology here, if you grab that one, it allows you to have 2 probes out into the solar system. But as it is right now, Mr. Alien is at his limit with one probe out there. So that's his main action done. He's paid the credits. He's gotten what the main part of the card is. He's got a conditional mission out there waiting for him. Now he's going to take a free action. One of the free actions is that you can spend energy to provide movement for your probes out in the solar system. So he's actually only going to spend one energy, and that will give him one movement. He can move this probe into an adjacent space. He's going to move right here. Now, when you do this, you can spend as much energy as you want to move as much as you want. And for every energy you spend, you move into an adjacent space. If you enter a space that has publicity, you will gain that right away. Basically, your probe has come across something that people are taking notice of. If you move into an asteroid space, that's fine. But moving out of an asteroid space is more difficult, so it actually requires 2 energy to move out of an asteroid space. But for now, he has spent the 1 energy, so he will move 1 space right there. And again, the whole point of launching a probe is to send it out to the various planets that are in the solar system. You want to do that because then you'll be able to send it out as an orbiter or a lander once it's reached your desired destination. And there's some really good rewards out there for doing so. So it looks like that's what Mr. Alien is working toward here. Now, for those movement points, we've seen how you can spend energy to generate them, but there are other effects in the game that will help you generate those. For example, some cards have that icon in the upper left-hand corner. This will generate you a movement point. And of course, in order to do that, the card needs to be in your hand, and then as a free action, you can discard the card to gain that benefit there. So that's another way that you can generate movement points. There are some others sprinkled throughout as well. However, the most reliable source of movement is going to be energy. As long as you have energy on hand, you can spend as much as you would like to gain those movement points. So with that, Mr. Alien's turn is done. Let's head on over to our side. And with this new tech installed, I think we're all set to do the first scan action of the game. It normally costs 1 credit and 2 energy, but instead of doing the printed action on the board, I think we're going to do like Mr. Alien and we're going to play a card. So we'll play this one right here. This will cost us 2 credits, and then we'll gain the scan action as well as a little benefit here. It's going to help us score a little bit more victory points. So for 2 credits, we will do the scan action. Now the first thing that you do is you will gain data from the sector that Earth is currently facing, which is going to be this sector right here. So we will take the leftmost data and we'll replace it with one of our markers. The data that you collect will get stored right here. This can build up, and then as a free action, you can add the data into your computer. Once your computer is completely full, it takes an action, which costs 1 energy, to analyze that data, which will give us that blue trace that we're looking for. So for now, we've scanned Earth's sector, which gave us 1 data. The next thing that you do is you discard a card from the market here, and you'll notice in this corner here are colored sectors. We have a blue one, and a yellow one. So step 2 is to discard one of those cards and then gain data from a sector matching the color of the card that you discarded. So if we went with one of these blue ones, we could gain data from Sirius A or Procyon over here. But instead, we're going to discard this card. It is yellow, so we'll get to mark another yellow sector. The sector that Earth is facing is a yellow sector, so we could take it from here, or we could take it from 61 Virginis. We're going to keep working on this because we are really close to finishing it off. So we'll get another data from there. Put one of our markers out. That'll get stored right there. And now we can activate our new technology. This says that just like we did with the card row there, we can discard a card from our hand and scan another sector. Same thing, we could discard a yellow one or a blue one, and we're definitely going to discard this yellow one, because that means we'll be able to collect this last data here, which will complete this sector. And that will complete the scan action. We've scanned the sector Earth was facing. We discarded a card from the row and scanned a matching colored sector. We did the same with a card from our hand. So then the bonus of this card is we gain 2 points for each yellow sector that we marked with this action. We marked this yellow sector. We could have marked this one to gain 2 extra points, but I felt like it was worth skipping the 2 points to be able to complete out this sector here. So that will give us 2 more points, and that will complete everything that this card gives us. So that gets discarded. And of course, a new card should come out. And then once you've completed your main action, you will resolve any sectors that were completed as a result of that scan. So our main action was to play that card. Now that that's finished, we will resolve this completed sector here. So the first thing that happens is you look to see who won the sector. And whoever won the sector is the one that has the most markers in here, which of course would be us. Now these 2 markers were from those quick start cards that we saw during setup. And this is another example of how the quick start cards accelerate your action. With our single turn here, we were able to complete the sector because those are present. So we have won this sector. Everybody who took place in this scan will gain 1 publicity. So we'll gain 1 publicity. And of course, this neutral player doesn't get anything. But then, whoever won the sector will gain the main reward. And in this case, it's going to be a pink trace. So one of our markers will come up here. The rest of them will go back to our supply. And then, typically, other players' markers would also come back to them. And whoever was in second place for that sector gets to leave one of their markers behind as a bit of a jump start, because this sector now will refill with data, and it can be scanned and completed again. The next time that this is scanned and completed, the reward will be 3 victory points, and those will just stack up over here to whoever wins, and of course whoever participated will continue to gain publicity for it. Now another thing to note is on every one of these stars, you'll notice that the second data that's scanned will give you 2 points. So that's something you're always kind of on the lookout for, trying to time your scans to get maximum benefit out of that scan. So in this case, we have won it, we got our publicity, and we will get a pink trace. Whenever you gain a trace of any color, those are going to be used to interact with the aliens that are over here. Up front, as we know, we haven't discovered any of these, and so those traces are going to work towards discovery. Now there's already a pink trace working towards the discovery of this alien here. We could place another pink trace in the overflow right here, and that would gain us 3 victory points. And there's a reason to do that. When any alien species is discovered, they're revealed, and each alien species has a deck of cards that goes along with that species. and those are usually pretty powerful cards. At the time of discovery, you will gain one card from that deck equal to the number of traces that you have over here. So we could put some in the overflow, and that would gain us a card whenever this is discovered. But I kind of like coming over here and beginning to work on the discovery of this alien species. So that'll gain us 5 points and 1 publicity, and we are now making progress on that one. So we will gain our 5 and that extra publicity. And looking at the card that came out, I really like this card. This would allow us to gain a technology related to our telescope. And so I think I want to use our agency's free action. Once per round, we can spend a publicity to gain one card and then get the card's free action corner effect immediately. So we're going to grab this card. And then we will gain that effect immediately. So that's going to give us one more data. We'll store that in our computer. And now this will be in our hand. I think this will be good for us. We'll be able to get an extra tech. And we have a little mission that we can work towards that would give us 9 points. And of course, we'll spend our publicity to grab that card. Okay, that is our turn done. Over to Mr. Alien. And once again, he's going to play a card. And it's going to cost him his remaining credit. This will get him 2 points of movement. So he's going to go 1, 2, and arriving at Mars will gain him 1 publicity. So he'll move up to there. Now the bottom part of the card says that if he had visited Jupiter this turn, he'd gain 4 points. Of course, he didn't, so that part he won't get, but that will finish out that card. He is also going to use his free action. And this says, gain the free action corner effect of all 3 cards in the card row, and you do that without discarding them. So he's going to gain a data, a point of movement with his probe, and another data. So he'll gain 2 data and a point of movement, so he will come over here to Saturn, which will gain him another publicity. And with that, it's back to us. Now, remember, we want to run our computer to get a blue trace. We're going to need 6 data to make that happen, and we're currently sitting on 4. So we just need 2 more data to work our way to that. So I think we'll do another scan action. Now we have a couple of cards here. This one would let us put a mark out into Beta Pictoris, which would give us 1 data, but that wouldn't be quite enough. So instead of playing a card, we're going to do that scan for 1 credit and 2 energy. And then we'll start by scanning the sector Earth is facing, which is going to be Kepler again. Since we were the second scan, we will gain 2 points. Then we will discard a card from the row. And we're going to go with this one right here. It's maybe kind of hard to see, but that indicates it's a black sector with a little ellipse there. So we are going to scan here in Beta Pictoris. There's the black with the ellipse. And now the card in our hand will help us get that second scan at a later time. But now we have our 6 data here. So that is the card from the row. Get rid of that. And then we could discard a card from our hand for a third scan, but I really like both of these cards. I don't want to get rid of them. So I hate missing the opportunity for a scan, but I hate even more losing one of these two in particular. So we'll hang on to those. And we have all the data that we need. Now, we can only store 6 data. So if we were to do another scan, we would need to make some room to be able to house the extra data coming in. Fortunately, that is another free action. You can add the data into your computer, gaining any benefits that you cover up. You can add as much of that data in as you want. That's all a free action to do on your turn. With that, our turn is done, and it's back to Mr. Alien. And he is sitting on enough publicity that he's going to buy a technology. So he will spend 6 publicity. First thing that happens is we will rotate the solar system. Crossing the orange means that all of this will rotate, just like that. Then for his technology, he's going to grab this one right here, which again will get him 2 points. The bonus will get him 1 energy. Now this will upgrade his ability to move his probes around the solar system. As we said before, moving out of an asteroid field is tricky, so it typically costs 2 energy or 2 points of movement to do that. With this technology, there's no extra cost to it, so it's just 1 point of movement to move out of that field like normal. In addition, every time you enter an asteroid field, you will gain 1 publicity. And then it's back to us. Well, we're sitting on all the data that we need to run this computer. So we'll take all those free actions to fill up our computer. That will gain us a publicity. This is this is a tricky one. We could tuck one of these cards in for income. But again, I don't want to lose these. I hate missing out on some of these benefits, but I like these cards, so I think we'll just let that benefit go by. So now with our computer filled, we can spend 1 energy to analyze the data. That will discard all of this data, and we will gain 1 blue trace. And of course, we are sticking that right there. So that'll gain us 3 points and a publicity. So let's find out which of the 3 new alien species we're dealing with on this side. Okay, it is the glyphids. Give me 1 moment. We're going to set this up and bring out all the extra components. And here we have the glyphids. Now, every one of these alien species comes with their own little rule sheet here, which explains how to set them up and how you'll interact with them and any special rules that apply to that species. Now, in particular, when it comes to the glyphids, we're told that we've received a message which appears to originate from an alien civilization. They seem to be using a completely different language system, which we need to decipher first. Fortunately, they've left us some hints on how to start that process. And those hints are in the form of these glyph tokens. So now that this board is out here, you can see some new spaces that we can mark the traces of. So whenever we get a yellow trace, we now have one of these 4 spots that you could also add the trace into, or pink or blue. Now, anytime you add a trace onto a spot that has a glyph token, you'll collect that token and bring it into your own supply. In addition, you will find those glyph tokens sprinkled all throughout the board now. Every sector has its own glyph token. Every planet has its own glyph token. And every technology that has yet to be discovered has its own glyph token on it. You'll acquire those glyph tokens by either gaining a technology, scanning a sector, landing on a planet or a moon that has one of those tokens, at which point you'll collect it. And like I said, if you place a trace on one of the spots that has a glyph token. Once the token is in your supply, as a free action, you can take that token and add it into this board up top here. Now the token by itself isn't going to give you anything, but it's these cards that will allow you to interact with the tokens on the board that will provide you something. So for example, say you collected this yellow token, it's in your supply, then later on as a free action, you could slot it in right here. And again, that inherently doesn't do anything for you yet. But if you have this card, when you play it out, you'll gain the benefit of whatever that yellow token has been assigned to. So in this case, the yellow token would give you 1 publicity, and suppose that was slotted in over here. Playing this card out would give you a publicity and a card from the draw deck. So the glyphids are a combination of collecting the glyph tokens, using the cards to cash in on those tokens, and then you'll notice at the top here, these glyph tokens don't have to be spent on the board up here. There's a set collection element at the end of the game, depending on the number of unique glyph tokens you have in your supply. If you have one, it's worth if you have 1 token, it's worth 1 point. 2 tokens is 3, 3 is 5, 4 is 8, and so on. So if you decide to not spend them, you could use them for points at the end of the game. The other bit of setup for any alien species is, as we said, if you have a trace that contributed towards the discovery of the species, at the time of setup, you'll be dealt one of the cards from this deck. So, Mr. Alien got 1 card for his 1 trace. We got 1 card for our 1 trace. And this one here brings in another element that's unique to the space agency's expansion. And it is a resource called a signal token. If I were to play this card out, I would gain 1 of these signal tokens and then a mission that I could work on. These signal tokens will help you when it comes time to scan. Essentially, you can spend a signal token to repeat that part of the scan process. This will let us discard another card from the card row and mark a signal in a matching colored sector from the card that's discarded. So again, it just lets you repeat that same part of the scan process. So that card will be in our hand. Oh, you'll also notice that the free action for discarding one of these cards is to activate a token of a particular color, provided it's slotted into the species board over there. So that should end a fairly large turn for us. We free actioned to fill up our computer, main action to analyze that data and get a blue trace, which ultimately led to the discovery of this alien species. And that should bring our turn to a close. So now over to Mr. Alien. And he is set up to perform our first lander action of the game. He's going to send this probe down as a lander to Saturn. Now, if you look here, it normally costs 3 energy to send a lander down. However, if there is an orbiter at that planet, then it only costs 2 energy. And there is an orbiter above Saturn. Now, it's important to note, even though this is his orbiter, it doesn't matter whose orbiter is at that planet. So this could have been mine, and he still would get the discount in energy for landing there. But as it is, there's an orbiter there, so he will spend 2 energy to send this over to Saturn. Now, being the first one here, he's going to get to collect that glyph token. And also being the first one to arrive on the planet, he will receive 2 data. In addition, he will gain 8 points and a yellow trace. So he will take his 8 points, which will bring him up to 19. Now for the trace, he has an interesting decision. There are many places he could put out this yellow trace now, especially on the glyphids. But we still have this species to discover here. And in fact, that is what he's going to do. He's going to go there to contribute towards this discovery. It'll give him 5 points and a publicity. So he'll gain 1 publicity and 5 points. Now, a very important thing has just happened. He has crossed a neutral milestone. These are included in the base game, and they're to help games that have less than 4 players discover the alien species. So the way this works is whenever a player crosses a neutral milestone, you'll take a neutral marker and you will add it to the aliens up here contributing towards their discoveries. As you add a marker, you put it into the leftmost empty space. So if there were multiples open, you would just go with the leftmost. In this case, there's only this spot left, which means by crossing that neutral milestone, this has led to the discovery of our second alien species. So let's find out who it is. It is Arcos. Let's get them set up. Our solar system has been visited by a huge alien object, undoubtedly some kind of interstellar alien ship, or maybe an entire alien city floating through space. Either way, it seems to be long dead and abandoned, but it's still an unprecedented discovery worth further exploration. What surprises are hiding in the depths of this alien object? So here we have the Arcos board. It's this long abandoned, huge thing that we're going to explore. And the setup of this guy is a little bit different. The first thing that you'll notice is there are 4 levels to this ship. 3 of them are locked. We only have access to the first level of the ship. And so these are the only 3 spaces that we can mark to start out. In order to gain access to either levels 1, 2, or 3, we're going to need to breach the security cards that we've been dealt. We each have the same set of security cards, and each of these cards is identical on the other side. It's going to cost 2 credits to play, and when we play it, we'll reveal an exploration card and gain its major exploration reward. Now these cards come to us in a locked state, so they will stay just like this. Now the way that we unlock these cards is by placing a trace of the matching color into one of the overflow spaces of this alien board. So again, at the start, we can go ahead and play traces to either of these 3 areas here. And then if we want to gain access to level 1, we're going to need to drop a trace off into one of the overflow spaces. Once we do, then we will unlock that matching card. That card would come into our hand, and we could play it at a later date. Furthermore, we can then have access to the next level in the ship. But we start out in a locked up state. Now, as part of discovering this alien species. We aren't dealt cards from this like we would normally see. Instead, what happens is for each player that has a trace that contributed towards the discovery, we'll reveal one of these cards, and that player will gain its minor exploration rewards. So we are the first trace right there. So we will reveal the first exploration card, and here we have a minor exploration reward and a major exploration reward. So in this case, we'll gain the minor reward of 2 publicity. The next trace belongs to Mr. Alien, so we'll reveal another card, and he will gain its minor reward, which will be 1 point and an energy. And he has just hit a gold milestone. We'll come right back to that. Now you might have noticed this little stack of cards right there. This entire deck of cards has 9 cards in it. And when you do the initial setup, you shuffle it all up, and you deal 5 cards to this pile. 4 of them go off to the side. And then every time you work your way through this deck of cards, you'll take all 9 of them, shuffle them together, put 5 down as a draw pile, and 4 off to the side. That way you never quite know what's going to be in this draw deck. And again, these are the major exploration rewards, and those we will be able to access when we unlock these cards into our hands and then play it out to gain. We'll reveal a card and gain the major reward on it. So that's the Arcos species. At this point, we have unlocked both species within the first round of the game. So again, it really demonstrates the accelerated nature of playing with the space agency's expansion. Yes, there are only 4 instead of 5 rounds, but within that first round, you're firing off a lot and you're doing quite a bit. Now, just a moment ago, Mr. Alien has reached this first gold milestone. You'll notice that around the solar system there are 3 different gold milestones. Every time you reach or cross one, you will get to lock in one of these gold scoring tiles. Each one of them has different spots that you can reserve for yourself. And so he is going to choose this one right here. This says that for every set of income cards he has that has a credit, energy, and card on it, he'll score 11 points. Now in the future, if we would like to claim this same gold scoring tile, we'll only get 8 points for it. So the first person to get in on one of these tiles is going to score more points than everyone who comes after them. And finally, speaking of milestones, these neutral milestones no longer matter. They are only used to help discover the alien species, and since we have both of these discovered, those neutral milestones no longer will affect the game. Well, after Mr. Alien's monster turn there, it comes back to us. And we are sitting on enough publicity that we could grab another technology. But I'm kind of thinking that maybe we pass. The first person to pass in the round gets first dibs on choosing a new card from this stack here. And I think the only thing left that we could do this round is gain a technology, but there's no rush on that. I don't think Mr. Alien is anywhere near the ability to grab one of those, so I'm thinking I'd rather have first dibs on this than worry about jumping into a new technology. So with that, we will pass. The first thing you do when you pass is you have to discard down to a hand limit of 4. Now we only have 3 cards here, so we're fine there. These cards do not count towards your hand limit while they are locked. Once you unlock it and it comes into your hand, then it will contribute towards that. But for now, we only have 3 cards, so we're fine there. The next thing we do is we choose a card out of this stack. Now, the very first person to choose a card is going to rotate the solar system, and that's why this token is on there. It's to remind you to rotate. So we'll move that over to there for the next round. We will rotate. So that will cross the blue, which means we will rotate everything, just like that. And now we can choose one of these cards here. The number of cards in this stack is always equal to the number of players plus 1. So we have 3 to choose from here. All three of them look pretty good. This would give us 3 rep, and then if we ever got in a single species, one of each type of trace, we could mark another trace of our choice on that species. This, for 1 credit, would give us 1 point of movement on an orbiter, and we could take mark a signal out in a blue sector. And this one here for 2 credits would give us 1 publicity up front, but then its real benefit would come from the next 3 scans that we do. Whenever we do a scan, we could mark one of these and gain the benefits. I like all 3 of them. But I know we're definitely going to want to do more scans, and this would make it a little more profitable for us. We'll go with that. We know it fits into our current plan. And that's it for passing. So now it moves over to Mr. Alien, and he's actually going to pass as well. So he checks his hand limit, which is currently this 1 card right here. He's fine there, so he will choose one of the remaining cards. And of course, no rotation. That is only done by the first player to pass. He's chosen his card, that gets discarded. And now we move into round 2. Now, in between rounds, a few things happen. The first is that everyone gets their income. And again, your income is going to be defined by all these icons right here. So we are going to get 3 credits, 3 energy, 2 cards. And by the way, whenever the symbol shows a question mark like that, you draw from the top of the draw deck. If you ever see a symbol that shows like this, where there's a number on it, that means that you draw from the card row itself. So in this case, we'll gain 3 credits, 3 energy, 1 publicity. This little refresh reminds us to clear off our free action token. And then we gain 2 cards off the top of the deck. And obviously this puts us over our hand limit. That's no problem. You only check that at the time that you pass. So here we've got 3 points of movement, and we'll get 6 points if we visit Saturn for 2 credits, or 1 credit to put out a triggerable mission. And whenever we do a scan, we'll gain one of those extra scan tokens. That could be pretty good for us. Likewise, Mr. Alien is going to get 3 credits, 2 energy, he will gain 2 cards, and refresh his free action. The next thing that happens in between rounds is the start player token passes to the next player. And then the last thing that happens is that's when you would rotate or move this rotation marker to the next stack, but we took care of that right up front. So now we're ready to head into round 2. And Mr. Alien is up first, and he's going to launch a probe using the action on his board for the cost of 2 credits. That will launch out to there. And then he's going to spend 3 energy to go 1, 2, 3. And of course, he's taking advantage of that technology there, which says it only costs 1 movement to get out of asteroid fields, and he's going to gain publicity for visiting both the asteroid fields as well as Jupiter. So that'll take him up to 4. And it's over to us. And I think for our first action, we're going to play this card out of our hand. So it's going to cost 1 credit. And this is a triggerable mission. We've talked about conditional missions like what Alien has here, and when you meet the conditions, then you can score that. This is called a triggerable mission, and whenever you do the thing up top, that will trigger getting the reward down below. Now this one, specifically, if you've already done things in the past, they don't count towards triggering that. It needs to be things that you do after the moment that you've played this card. So the next time that we scan, we'll be able to cover that up with a token, and we will gain an extra scan token, or signal token. On over to Alien, and just like us, he's also going to play a card. This one's going to cost him 1 credit, and this allows him to send out a lander. If he was on Mars or Mercury, he'd gain some extra points, but he's currently on Jupiter. So he will send this to land on Jupiter. He's the first one there, so he's going to gain 2 data, 7 points, and a yellow trace. Those 7 points, of course, cross that neutral threshold, but again, those don't have any more effect for us. And since he was the first one to land or orbit Jupiter, he will get to collect this token. So now he's got a couple of them there. Now for his yellow trace, he's got a lot of good options in front of him. Of course, he can go to that space and receive a minor bonus from one of those cards. He could send it as an overflow to unlock and gain the card into his hand for that species, or he can come over here and either grab this, which will give him the orange token, grab that for 7 points and the yellow. He's going to go right here, which is going to give him 3 points, and that symbol there lets you draw 1 card from that alien species deck. So he's going to go there, he'll gain 3 points, and you can either choose the face-up card or the top of the draw deck. He's going to go with this one. Given the fact that he's sitting on both of those tokens, might be a good move for him. And those will be the 3 points. Just barely off of screen. Those will be the 3 points that he's gotten there. It's over to us, and I think it's a good time to get ourselves a new technology. So we will spend the 5 required, rotate the solar system. We crossed over the yellow, so just the Earth, Venus, and Mercury. And then we'll grab a tech. And I think we'll take this one right here. That'll give us this token 2 points. We will gain 2 data and energy. And then this technology is going to upgrade the sector that we can scan. So as we know by default, you're allowed to scan the sector that Earth is facing. Well, once you upgrade with this technology, now you can choose from the sector Earth is facing or the sectors that are adjacent to it. So in this case, we could scan here, or we could scan this sector or this one. So it gives you some more options from what you can choose for your initial scan. And then our 2 points over to Alien, and he's going to use his free actions to load up his computer. That will gain him a publicity. This will allow him to tuck a card for income. He's going to tuck this card, which will increase his credits. Now, this is the first time we have seen in-game tucking a card for income. Anytime you do that, you immediately gain whatever the income of that card would be. So he's going to gain a credit for doing that. And he'll load those 2 up. And then for his actual action, he's going to run his computer. And receive a blue trace. He's going to send that blue trace over to this spot right there, which will get him 2 points and a minor exploration reward from this card here, which is going to be another point and a card from the top of the deck. So 3 points. And a card from the top. It is over to us. And I think we're set to do another scan. So we will do the board scan here for a credit and 2 energy. And with this new technology, we have options on what we're going to scan. Instead of going straight for what Earth's pointing at, we're going to go with the sector adjacent to it. And then we will discard a card from the row. We'll get rid of this one, which will let us scan another blue sector. And of course, we are going to work on the same one here. And now we can trigger this because we have just done the scan action, which will give us a signal token. And then we'll discard this card from our hand to scan a red sector. And I'm thinking for this one, we can start working on this. We'll eventually swing around to point towards this, so might as well get a little bit of a head start right there. And now let's spend this signal token here. Again, this is going to let us discard one more card from the row. And they both have blue on them. We'll get rid of this one. Now it's important to note, these cards don't refill while you're in the middle of this action. So at most, you could only ever spend 2 of these tokens because you'll discard 1 card due to your regular ability, and that's only going to leave 2 cards left to spend 2 tokens on. So we've spent the 1, and that will be the 3rd and final in this section here. And that, of course, will complete that section. So we can pull this off. We will gain a yellow trace. And we will gain 1 publicity. And being the first to complete in this sector, will give us that token there. Now for the pink trace, I'm going to place this into the overflow of the Arcos board. That's going to give us 3 points. But more importantly, that's going to breach our first security card. So with that pink trace, we get to breach this security card, bring it over into our hands. Now this one, it'll cost us 2 credits, but then we can reveal an exploration card and gain its major exploration rewards. So those can be pretty powerful. So we'll add that to our hand. And then play will pass over to Mr. Alien. Oh, before I forget, we need to refill this row here. Now on to Mr. Alien, and he's going to take a free action to slot a glyph token in to the board up here. I think I might have misspoken earlier when we were talking about this. It's a free action to slot this token anywhere that you want. And I think I might have said that when you do that, nothing happens. But that's wrong. Whatever you slot it in next to as a free action, you'll also gain that thing. So he's going to gain 1 publicity for slotting that in there. We'll take him up to there. And then for his main action, he's going to gain a tech. So that will rotate there, crossing the orange. It will cost him all 6 of his publicity. He's going to gain this one right here. So that will gain him an orange glyph token. He'll get 2 points. And then, as a benefit for this technology, he will get to launch a probe, and he'll gain 1 energy. The benefit of this tech is your limit for number of probes out in the solar system is now 2. Remember, at the start of the game, you're only allowed to have 1 probe out in the solar system, but now with that new tech, he can have 2 out there. Now, he's going to spend a free action to discard this card to gain a point of movement, which will take him to there. And then I'm going to do another free action to get all the corner effects of the 3 cards on the market. So that's going to gain him a data, a publicity, and another point of movement. So his publicity, data, and then his movement will take him to Venus, which of course will gain him 1 more publicity. That completes his turn, and back to us. We are brimming with data. Let's run our computer. So we'll slot these in. That will gain a publicity there, and this will let us tuck a card. They're all going to give us energy, and we'll tuck this card. We could use a little more energy in our lives. And of course that goes off right away and will give us an energy. And with these last 2 slotted in, we can spend that energy to gain ourselves a blue trace. And now that we have unlocked 1 level of security over here, I think we're going to go for that spot right there. So then we reveal the next card, And we will gain the minor exploration benefit twice because there are 2 icons there. So we're going to get a point and a credit twice. So we will gain 2 credits and 2 points. Now we have just reached a gold milestone, so we can lock in one of these tiles over here. And I think for what we're looking at here, we'll grab this one first. For every 2 sets of technology that we have acquired, we'll gain 7 points. So we already have 1 set here, and we know we're going to be chasing after more, so that seems like a good one to go with. Now you may have noticed that there are 3 gold milestones and 4 tiles. So what that means is one of these is not going to get scored. So of those, I'm not sure which we'll ignore just yet. We'll figure that out as we move along and see what makes sense. But we know we're definitely going to be chasing technology. And speaking of, just to run through what the rest of these technologies are, we know what these ones do. This technology allows you to send out a lander at a discount of 1 energy. And so if there's already an orbiter in place, then it's only going to cost 1 energy. This technology lets you send your landers to moons. You may have noticed out on the board here, there are planets, and then some of these planets have moons. And you can't actually send a lander to a moon unless you have that technology. So then over here, for our telescope, this technology allows you to spend 1 publicity and scan in the sector that Mercury is currently facing, which if you look at the board, Mercury is always the exact opposite of where Earth is facing. So if you have that technology when you're doing a scan, you can spend a publicity to put a mark up into Mercury's sector. The last telescope tech allows you to spend 1 energy to launch a probe. Or if you don't want to launch a probe, you can gain 1 movement for one of your probes that's currently deployed. Now the computer technologies are all just about the same. What they do is add an extra space into your computer like this. So as you're placing data on that top slot, you'll gain 2 points. It also adds a bottom slot. And as you're filling data in, you can put a data on that space to gain the benefit that's inside the circle there. Now it's interesting, you don't have to do this in order. So say for example, we have 3 data. I can place this down, and now I can place here, or I can just continue to move along. And then even after I've gone past this, at a later time if I want, I can come back and fill that in, or I could ignore it entirely. And once you've filled up that top row, you can still analyze your data. You don't need to fill in these bottom sections in order to run your computer. So each one of these computer technologies will provide the top slot giving you 2 points, and then the bottom slot will give you whatever is listed there. So this tech would give you a credit or an energy, a card, or 2 publicity. So that's all of the techs that we have not seen just yet. Over to Mr. Alien. He's going to take a free action to slot in both of these tokens here. He's going to place that right there, which will gain him 1 data. Now, in order to slot into these top slots here, you need to have filled in both of the bottom ones underneath. So he could put it here, but not there. And he's going to stick that right there, which will gain him 1 energy. With the free action done, he's going to play this card here, which will cost 1 credit. And this will allow him to activate the tokens that are on the species board. In this case, he's going to activate either the yellow and the greenish bluish, or the blue and the purple. So he's going to go with this side here, which will give him a publicity and a data. Now he's also given himself an endgame scoring card, which says he'll get 3 points for each of the glyph tokens of which type he has the most. And of course that would apply to what is in his supply, not what's out on the species board there. For our turn, I think we also want to play a card. Looking at this one here, which was the card that we unlocked by breaching the first level of security, and it will cost us 2 credits. We will reveal an exploration card and gain its major exploration reward. So 2 credits. This gets discarded. Now we'll reveal this card, and we will gain this reward here. So this is going to let us launch a probe and then gain 3 points of movement. So we'll launch it out here, and then I think for our 3 points of movement, we will go 1, 2, 3, which will gain us a publicity. Now that this deck has run out, we'll take these cards along with the other cards. We'll shuffle these all together and create a new draw pile. So we'll do 5 cards for the draw pile, and the remaining 4 get set off to the side. Over to Alien. And he has a probe currently sitting at Venus, and he would like to send it down as a lander. There's already an orbiter there, which means sending it as a lander is only going to cost 2 energy. So he will spend his 2 energy to send his probe as a lander. Now this is going to gain him 2 data. He'll collect this glyph token. He'll gain 5 points and a yellow trace. For his yellow trace, he is also going to breach a level of security. So he's going to breach his yellow security card. That will get added to his hand, and it will gain him 3 more points. Back over to us, and I think we are set up to do another scan action. So we'll spend our credit and 2 energy, and we are going to scan with our technology the sector adjacent to Earth. So we're going to go with Bernard's star here. And this, of course, will add in the second bit of data there, so we'll score 2 points for that. For discarding from the row, we're going to get rid of this one here, which is going to mark a red sector. And surprise, surprise, we're going back to Bernard's star. Then we will discard a card from our hand. We're going to get rid of this one here, which is, once again, working on Bernard's star. And this triggered as well because we're doing a scan. So we will use that sector token and instantly spend it to complete out this last section here. And with this completed, we are the only ones present here, and so we will gain 1 publicity for that, and all of these are going to come out. Nothing's going to get left behind. We will gain a pink trace and this glyph token. And with our pink trace, I think I'm going to send it over to this spot here. Again, we have access to that, and we'll take a double benefit of the minor exploration. That'll give us a total of 4 publicity. So that'll actually bring us to the very top there. And with that action completed, we will refill that. And actually, I think I want to use our free action here to spend a publicity and grab one of these cards and then instantly gain the benefit in the upper left corner. Let's grab this one. This will then get us 1 data. We'll keep that there. Over to Mr. Alien, and he is going to pass. So, first thing he checks, he does not need to discard. He only has 3 cards. He's the first one to pass, so we will rotate the solar system. And then he'll get to choose one of these. Coming back to us, now with Mr. Alien passing for the round, we're able to take as many actions as we can back to back. And so I want to try to take advantage of that as best as I can. And I think I see a way that we might be able to jump ahead of him in one particular area. So I think we're going to start by spending 5 of our publicity to grab a tech. And we're going to grab this one right here. So first that'll give us that glyph token. We'll gain 2 points and 1 publicity. And now this will slot into our computer. Maybe we should have done this a while ago, because now every time we fill that slot, we'll gain 2 points. But we'll gain 2 points right now. Oh, but I did jump right past rotating the solar system, so that will rotate once. Then, for our next move, I think we're going to do it again. I think we're going to grab another technology. So we'll rotate that once again. And for this one, we're going to take this tech right here. And again, we'll grab one of those. That'll give us a total of 5 points for this. And this tech, once again, allows us to send landers down to moons. So what I'm looking at here is we're sitting at Jupiter, and we could send our lander to Europa, which would give us 7 points and, importantly, 2 yellow traces. As of right now, we don't have any yellow traces out there. We've gotten quite a few of the pink and the blue, but we don't have any yellow traces. So that would help us catch up on that a little bit. And then beyond traces, some of these moons like Triton and Titania, they're worth a lot of points. That's 51 points right there if we could land on both of those moons. So seems like a good idea to give ourselves the ability to get out there. Now, coming back to the glyph tokens, when we were saying that we wanted to get ahead of Mr. Alien, I was originally thinking we'd swoop up a bunch of these and slot them into the species board before he takes up all of the various bonuses up there. But now I'm starting to second guess myself. We have duplicates of the blue, so we definitely could slot one of these in. And I think we'll put it in right there to gain 3 points. Now, you can never have more than one of a particular color slotted in up here. So those are the only blues we could put in. That's the only yellows and oranges and so forth. So we'll gain 3 points for putting that in. But I'm thinking maybe we just start working on set collection. We're sitting on 4 of these right now. They're worth 8 points if we don't spend any more. And if we get another one, then it's 11. And if we can scrounge up 3 more of them, we jump up to 20 points. And that sounds kind of good. So I'm thinking maybe we just hang on to these for right now. And so with that, I think that brings this round to a close for us. We're out of resources. We're out of publicity. So I think we will end our round. Now, I should have done this a little while ago, but when this mission was completed, this gets cleared off, turned face down, and you just set it off to the side. So we'll put our completed mission there. So now that we are passing, we check our hand. We have 3 cards. We're just fine there. So we will select one of the 2 remaining cards here. Kind of thinking we hang on to this one here. We haven't had too much of a problem scanning. This is 4 credits, which is wildly expensive. But my plan is to slot this in for income whenever we can activate that. So we'll hang on to that one. And so with that, we move in between rounds where we will collect our income. We're going to get 3 credits, 4 energy, 1 publicity. We will refresh our free action, and we will gain 2 cards off the top of the deck. Alien's income will be a total of 4 credits, 2 energy, 2 cards from the top of the deck, which, yeah, we checked his hand limit a while ago, so yeah, he's good there. And refreshing his free action. Then we move the start player token. Heading into the next round, I'm kind of thinking about a little bit of a gamble. Up to now, we've done a fair bit of scanning, and that's been pretty good. But we have this technology here, which is going to let us put landers down on moons. And I'm kind of thinking about leaning into that for the next couple of rounds. Now, looking at our situation, these 2 moons, as we saw, score a lot of points. So I'd like to get out to those. We're currently set up to land on a moon around Jupiter, but I'd like to set us up for landing there. And this is where the gamble comes in. Uranus is here, And I have a feeling it's only going to get harder to land down here as the rounds progress. So I'm thinking maybe we push to get a probe out over here during this round before it gets any further away. Now that's where the gamble comes in, because in order to do that, we're going to have to commit some resources, and I'm hoping we don't overcommit. If it plays out and we can scrape up an extra credit or energy throughout this round, we'll be able to do a few things. But if that doesn't play out, then getting those probes into position might be about the only thing we do this round. So hopefully not. Hopefully we can pull something together here. But if so, then hopefully it still pays out. But I'm thinking either way, let's play the Falcon Heavy here, which is going to cost us all of our credits. But it's going to allow us to put 2 probes out, and we can ignore the limit of probes in space for these launches. And that'll also gain us 1 publicity. So that goes there. And then both of these will come out to Earth. Thankfully, we can ignore our limit. Now here's where we're going to commit even more resources. This is the closest we are to Uranus for now, so let's tap into that. I think I want to get 1 probe over to here, and then eventually 1 probe over to Neptune. So let's try to move one of these over here. We'll let the other one just sort of coast with Earth as things rotate around until it's a little closer. And hopefully, by the end of the game, we'll have a lander over on Neptune. Okay, so for now, let's get someone moved over to here. So to start for that, we're going to tap into our free action. We're going to spend a publicity. We're going to grab a card off of the card row, and we're going to go with this one. And of course, this lets us use the corner effect immediately, which is going to give us 1 movement. Then we're going to free action spend this card for the other movement. There. I think we will spend a free action to gain another movement there. And 2 energy to get us all the way. So we got 3 more movement. 1, 2, 3. That will get us a publicity. Most importantly, we've made it. So that can just sit there and cook until we're finally able to send it down. Now, it's only going to take 2 energy because we do have an orbiter in position here. So at the right time, we'll be able to send it down. But for now, we have at least 2 of our probes in position. That gets discarded. First, I forgot to refill that guy right there. Mr. Alien is up, and he's going to play his yellow breach card, which will cost 2 credits. Reveal an exploration card and gain its major reward. So this gets flipped. Major reward. He will launch a probe and get 3 movement for that. Out to here. And then for his 3 movement, he will go 1, 2, 3. Arriving here, of course, gives him a publicity. And he's got the tech that lets him move through that easily and gaining a publicity along the way. So he'll get 2 publicity there. Now back to us. We currently have 2 energy, no credits. So I think one of the things that we'll do is let's run our computer, or not run it, but fill it up as a free action. So that'll get us 2 points. We can gain a credit here, a publicity, And then this will let us tuck a card. And we're going to tuck this super expensive Starship, but that will give us an extra credit. I think what we're going to do is spend our 2 energy to go ahead and send this probe to land on Titania. So because we have a orbiter in place, we'll get to spend the 2 energy required. He will land here for 25 points, and we get this purple token. So that 25 should jump us up to 64. We passed a gold milestone. I think let's lock in this one right here. This is for every set of traces, we'll gain 8 points. We are currently pretty good on pink traces, and we've got a couple of blue traces, so we really need to get some yellow traces. And we'll see what we can do by landing on some of these moons. And now we want to carry on with our free actions. I'm going to slot both of these glyph tokens in. Again, I hate to do this because these were unique for us and they were building up our set. But I'm planning on hopefully getting at least the purple token back, so it won't be a loss. And right now, we desperately need credits. So I'm going to slot that one in there. We'll gain a card, but most importantly, slot that one in to gain a credit. I think that'll finally do it for this turn. Mr. Alien is also spending 2 credits to send this orbiter to Saturn to be a lander. It's only going to cost him the 2 because he's got his, I guess not, it's a probe, not an orbiter. So he's sending this over. That'll get him 8 points and a yellow trace. So he'll jump up to 56, crossing a milestone. He's going to lock in this one here that says every completed mission will be worth 4 points for him at the end of the game. And for his yellow trace, he's going to go with this one right here, which will gain him 2 points and a card. He could choose the top one, the face-up one, or the top one from the draw deck. He's going to go with this one here. And of course, his 2 points. Back over to us, and let's go ahead and spend our hard-earned 3 credits here. We'll play this, rotate the solar system, gain a tech, and whatever's printed on the back of that tech tile, we'll gain it twice. So for this one, I'm thinking let's gain this technology here. It'll get us some points and that purple back. Guess that's going to be a duplicate if we get the scan one, but that's okay. We've got a purple glyph token, 2 points. We will gain this benefit twice. So I think we'll grab both of these cards here. The movement's going to be good for us, and we could maybe use that publicity to help us get another tech here in the future. But then this one here is going to discount the energy cost for our landers. So it'll be 2 if there's no orbiters, or if there is an orbiter, it's only going to cost 1 energy. It's pretty good. So we'll gain our 2 points. Oh, but before I forget, this should have rotated with that card. The rotate first and then attack. So rotating the blue, there's your little handle right there. All right, over here, Mr. Alien is going to play this card out for 1 credit. That's going to let him take the benefits of the glyph tokens that are slotted in, and he's going to go with this one here. So he'll get 2 grays and 1 orange. So he'll get 2 credits and 1 energy. And then forgot to notice when he put that last lander out, that completed this mission right here. So it needed 5 orbiters or landers. And with that one out, he's now got 3, 4, 5 in place. So that'll score him 3 points and 1 additional credit. And then he's going to stick that off to the side as a completed mission. And I'm just going to move that over there as well. This is just end game scoring. That's kind of taking up space. So we'll place that over there for now. Well, back to us. And I think we are officially out of things to do for this round. No credits and no data. We can't slot any of these things in because that's already done. And even if we could, it would only get us a signal token. So I think we're out of resources and can't do anything up here. So I think with that, we will go ahead and pass for the round. Now we are just over our hand limit here. So we're going to need to discard down and get rid of one of these cards. Actually, you know what? Before we pass, looking through our cards here, one of the ones that we just got is this one here, which is 0 credits to play. Might as well put that out now. It's got a couple of triggerable missions on there when we're visiting Uranus, which we already did that, but we are going to be hitting Neptune here in a little bit, hopefully. Should give us a credit. So might as well do that, and then we will not need to discard down when it does come time to pass. And Alien is going to discard this card to gain the publicity up here. And then for his main action, he's going to gain a tech. So that'll cost him all 6 of those. That will rotate the solar system. We're chugging along towards Neptune. And then for the tech, he's also going to grab the one that allows him to send his landers onto moons. So that'll gain him 1 card from the card row. And he will grab this one right here. Interestingly, this has opened up an opportunity for us. I think we can still hold off on passing. What we will do instead is we'll discard this card to gain the corner benefit. That's going to let us tap into that glyph, which will give us a credit. And then I think we will spend that credit to do the Mars flyby, which will give us 2 movement with our probe. So we're going to go 1, 2, which will gain us a publicity. And with any luck, we can ride the solar system's rotation and be 1 step away from Neptune. We'll see what happens. Over to Alien, and he's going to play this species card out for a credit. And he's going to get 2 of the blue glyph tokens and 1 of the, or I should say the benefits of those tokens, and 1 of the green. So 2 blue, which will be 6 points, and then 1 publicity. You know, I think the momentum keeps working in our favor here. I think we're going to discard this card to gain a publicity, which will move us up to 5. And then we'll go ahead and spend that 5 to gain a tech. So we're going to rotate the solar system. And for that, I say we grab this one right here. That's going to give us 2 points and an energy. A new glyph token to add to our collection. And then we'll slot this in right here. And who knows, maybe we'll be able to get some data on there at some point for more energy. And Alien will play the Juno probe for 3 credits, which will give him data. And he will get to launch another probe. Now this conditional mission says that if he's got a lander or an orbiter at Jupiter, then he will gain 7 points and a publicity. And sure enough, he has a lander there. So he will gain 7 points and a publicity. Put him there. We'll move up to there, and he will cross his last golden milestone. I'll lock that one in there. Okay, now I believe we are officially going to pass. So with that, because yeah, we're going to pass, and with that we will grab this stack here, which of course is going to rotate the solar system. That's the blue, so everything will rotate. And then we can still do free actions when you pass. So I'm going to, as a free action, spend this energy, which will cause us to land on Neptune. That will give us 1 publicity. In addition, this triggerable mission will go off. We have visited Neptune, so we will gain 1 credit for that. And we'll go with this one here. This will give us some probe movement and potentially a couple of data from the sector that it's in. Who knows? Maybe we can make some good use of that. He's going to load up his computer. Which will let him analyze some data. He's going to tuck this card for some energy. And I'll spend that energy to analyze the data. Which will give him a blue trace. He's going to spend that to breach another layer of security, which will unlock that for him. And of course, we've passed, so it's right back to him. And with very little for himself to do, he is also going to pass. No problem on hand limit. And now with both of us passing, we go to our income phase. So we will get 4 credits, 4 energy, a publicity, refresh this, and 2 cards off the top of the deck. Mr. Alien's income is going to give him 4 credits, 3 energy, 2 cards from the top of the deck. And this is something that I need to retroactively fix. With everything going on, forgot to pull this off for him. He was going to do the free action. For these cards right here, he was just going to gain 2 publicity. And then 1 movement with his probe out here, and he was just going to rotate to right there. Sorry about that, but that would then refresh. And lastly, the start player token moves over to Mr. Alien. We are all set to head into the final round of the game. All right. As we head into the final round here, I'm realizing I messed up just a moment ago. I was frazzled when I was moving this for Mr. Alien. Meant to go in this direction, not that direction. So I think we're all set there. He's going to start out with his Mercury flyby for 1 credit, which will give him 2 movement. He will go 1, 2. That'll gain him a publicity, as well as the one for Saturn. Jump him up to 7. On to us, and I'm feeling a little nervous about how close Mr. Alien is creeping over to there with his new moon technology. So I'm thinking we quickly spend our 2 energy, thanks to our discount here, and we will send this probe to land on Triton, which will get us 26 points. And of course we can collect that token there for whatever it will do for us. And that'll jump us up to 93. We will have crossed our last gold milestone. I think we'll probably go with this one here. We've only got 1 mission completed, so that's only 3 points. This is at least 8 points, and if we can tuck another credit income, then that'll give us another 8 points. So we'll try that. He will likewise spend 2 energy, and he's going to send this Saturn probe down to Titan. It's going to give him 2 traces of his choice plus 7 points. He's going to grab these 2 right here. Each one of them will give him 7 points and these glyph tokens. Let's continue the lander party. We'll spend 2 energy to send our Jupiter lander down. And we're going to go to Europa. That'll give us 7 points and 2 yellow traces, which will bring us exactly to 100. I think our first one will come here and get a double minor exploration reward. Okay, that'll be 2 points and 2 energy. And I think we'll throw our first trace over to this species here for the 7 points. Alien is going to play proximity maneuvers, which will cost him 2 credits. He'll reveal an exploration card, gain its major exploration reward, which is a probe launch and a pink trace. For the pink trace, since we're right there, he's going to go right here. Now he's breached the second level of security, so he'll go there for 5 points and a minor reward, which will be a point and a card off the top of the deck. So he'll get 6 points. Take him across the line as well. And then a card off of the top. And then he will get to launch. He's going to continue on with some free actions. He's discarding both of these for the movement. And that'll take him 1, 2, which will give him a publicity. Okay, back to us. I'm thinking let's do a scan. We could use a little bit more data. We can get ourselves a blue trace. So we can only do the scan based off of our board action here. So we'll do 1 credit and 2 energy. And then let's look out to here, and we're going to scan the sector Earth is directly facing. There's that. And then we can discard from the card row. We'll get rid of this one here, which would be the same sector. That'll get us 2 points. We can discard from our hand. Let's discard this one. We'll be able to scan a blue sector. And if we scan right here, that'll get us 2 points. Now, I don't know if we'll be able to complete this sector at some point. I hope we do. That'll give us a pink trace and that token there, which would be unique to us and help build us up. So maybe we can find a way at some point. But either way, we now have enough data that we can analyze here if we want, which we do. Over to Mr. Alien, and he's going to take a few free actions, along with playing this as his main action. 0 cost, and it says when you visit asteroids on your turn, he can trigger these to gain some data. So he's done that. He's going to discard that to gain movement, and in addition, he's going to activate this to gain the benefits of the cards in the row. So that's going to be 2 more movement for a total of 3 movement and 1 publicity. With his movement, he's going to go 1, 2, 3. He's going to lose out on some of that publicity, but he will gain the data for triggering that mission right there. And of course, he's capped out. And if you ever get to the top and gain any more publicity, the additional gains are just simply lost. Over to us, and I think we're going to play this top card right here. It's going to cost us 3 credits. We will rotate the solar system. And then we will gain a telescope tech. And I think for that one, let's grab this far guy right here. So that will gain us another glyph token, 2 points, and an energy. Now, we don't really need that technology. that says that whenever we do a scan action, we could pay an energy and launch a probe or gain 1 movement. But I don't think we're going to tap into that. But I liked it because it gave us this glyph token. It gives us an energy, which is hopefully going to be helpful to it. Oh yeah, we're going to need that to... well, I guess we could have gotten it from there. Either way, I'm sure we'll find a good use for this energy. I like the fact that it gave us this token and 2 points to boot. So some points, and now we have 5 technologies. If we can squeeze out 1 more technology, then that'll help us with that right there. Could score us 7 more points. So we'll see what we can make of it. Over to Mr. Alien, and he is going to send yet 1 more lander over to Saturn, which is going to cost him 2 energy. Of course, because he's got the orbiter. So he'll grab this, send it over to Enceladus, perhaps? That'd be 12 points, and then he can mark a signal inside a yellow, a blue, and a red sector. So he's going to mark 2 of these here, mainly so he can get the 2 points. And then he'll mark in the blue sector there, just so he's got something going on in that little party there. Coming back to us, I realized this conditional mission was met, and I forgot to score it. You need to have 2 marks in the same sector, and of course we accomplished that when we did our scan. So that'll gain us 9 points. And now let's go ahead and load up our computer. That'll get us another energy. Put those in, and we will spend that energy to analyze the data and get ourselves a blue trace. I think for this one, we'll go here for 3 points. And not too worried about that one. Maybe we'll get lucky off of this card draw here. Oh, it's kind of the same thing. I don't know that we'll get to use it much for that, but we could always discard it for, I think that'll end up being, yeah, a credit. So we'll see. Back to Mr. Alien, and he's going to acquire a technology. So he's going to spend 6 of those. We will rotate the solar system. And then he's going to grab this tech right here, which will gain him a glyph token, 2 points, and 3 for a total of 5 points. And back to us, and the tank is looking pretty low here. We've got a credit and an energy, no data. This isn't enough to do any board actions. We don't really need a publicity, and certainly can't use a movement. We don't have enough for that. Oh, you know what? Okay. Well, we will discard this, which will gain us that benefit, which is a credit. And then we will play this card, which will cost 2 credits to gain 4 publicity. And we've got a conditional mission to have 0 publicity. That'll get us 2 points and 1 publicity back. Mr. Alien is in a similar situation. Not much fuel left in the old rocket ship here. So he's going to take a few free actions. He will slot that in for 2 points. That'll get him publicity. And this will let him tuck this card for income, which looks like that will complete another set for him, which works good for his goal tile over there. So that'll get him a card off the top of the deck, a publicity, and 2 points. Then the card he just got has a publicity on it, so he's going to discard that to gain 1. All of those were free actions. So he's going to take his main action to gain another technology. Solar system rotates. And he's going to grab this here, which will give him a unique token, 2 points, and another publicity. I suppose he'd probably slot this in over here in case some sort of space dust blows another data in his way. Unlikely, but there you go. Back to us. We're just about over the finish line here. I think we will spend our free action to spend a publicity and draw one of these cards. It doesn't matter much. I'm looking for a little card cycling, but that's all right. So then, for our main action, we will go ahead and spend our 5 publicity to gain technology. And again, we don't really need any of these technologies, so we're just grabbing the one that nets us the most points. This would give us a glyph token we already have and 2 points. So we might as well go with this one, which will give us 3 points. And we are currently sitting at 0 publicity, so we will grab this. That will get us a publicity back and 2 more points. Of course, that completes that. And might as well do a free action to get a data off of this card, and then we'll use that data to slot in right there for 2 points. Play passes back to Mr. Alien, but the tank is empty. He's got 1 credit. Not much you can do with that. No more data to use. No more cards to play. So with that, he will pass. So play comes over to us, and it's the same boat here. We are out of things to do. We've got 1 energy, and there's nothing we can do with that. Can't play this card. Don't need to discard it. So I think our situation is done. We will also pass, and then we'll move into final scoring. So final scoring comes from 3 sources. 1 is going to be any endgame scoring cards that we have played. The other are these tiles here. And then the third is some alien species also have endgame scoring attached to them. So the first thing we'll look at are any of the cards that we have played out that would give us endgame scoring. In this case, only Mr. Alien has one of these cards played. And it's this one right here that says 3 points for each glyph token of which type you have the most. Now, it so happens he only has 1 of each type, so he will score 3 points for this, for pick whatever color you would like, but he'll get 3 points for that card. And again, just for clarification, we're only scoring cards that have these gold banners, which are indicated for endgame scoring. All the other missions that we've done were either triggerable or conditional missions. They don't score at the end, except for that gold tile up there, which says every one of those are going to be worth 4 points for Mr. Alien. And he has completed 2 of those, so he'll get 8 points for that tile. Moving on to the next scoring tile, it will be this one right here. And for this, we'll score points for each set of 3 life traces that we've marked, 1 of each color. Mr. Alien did not cash in on that one, so he won't get points, but we'll get 8 points for every one of those sets. Looking out over here, we have 3 pink traces. We have 1, 2 yellow traces, and 1, 2, 3 blue traces. So we have a total of 2 complete sets, which will give us a total of 16 points. Now the next tile we both will cash in on. We will get 7 points for every pair of techs. Alien will get 5 points for each pair. We have a total of 8 technologies. So we have 4 sets for a total of 28 points. So we will jump from 47 to 75. He has 5 technologies, so he has 2 pairs. That will get him 10 points. And then our last tile is this one here, and we will score points for each set of 3 cards that you have tucked for income, 1 of each type. And you're not supposed to count the 3 that are printed, or whatever's printed on your cards. So for us, we only have 1 complete set because we've got 1 card for credit and multiples of the others. So that's just going to get us 8 points. So we will jump up to 183. Mr. Alien has 2 complete sets, 1 of each, so he's going to get a total of 22 points. So those are all of the score tiles. The last source of endgame points would come from any alien species that provide points, and in this case, we're going to get points for our sets of tokens. So Mr. Alien has 1 set here of 5 unique tokens. 5 tokens will get you 11 points. So he will jump to 66. And we did a little better than that. We ended up with 2 unique sets here. We've got 6 and 2. And a set of 6 will get you 15, and a set of 2 will get you 3. So we'll get a total of 18 points for those tokens. So we'll go from 83 to 201. And there it is, the final score. 201 to 166. Against all odds, we have once again defeated Mr. Alien in his home turf. And, you know, he really didn't do a whole lot of scanning. Maybe he wasn't trying to listen out there because he knew he was already present. I don't know if that ended up hurting him in the long run, but yeah, with our scans and then tapping into these moons are incredibly valuable. So there's a ton of points you can grab from those. But more than anything, I hope that the playthrough here shows you what space agencies brings to the base game. But again, if you've made it this far and you've never played SETI before, the space agencies give you that jump start. And of course, there's some, unique abilities that they do bring to it. But you can strip away the space agencies expansion and play this just as the base, and it's largely that same experience. You just sort of craft it from the ground up with that extra rounds worth of development. And both versions of the game play very, very similarly, very, very well. No matter which version you're playing, There's an incredible amount of decision space and just options that are in front of you. It's one of these games where whatever you're trying to do, you feel like there is some way to get it done. I just need that one extra credit or that one extra energy, and you can usually find a way to sort of wring it out of the game and have some of these combo-y types of turns. Great mixture of both strategy and tactics. It's a blast to play. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough and hope that it gave you a good sense of how it plays. As always, thank you for joining, thank you for watching, and we'll see you on our next expedition.